I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. Today, I'm doing an extra stream. So I normally stream Tuesdays at 6 p.m., but there was a verdict in the Kouri Richins case last night. So I watched closing arguments and I was feverishly taking notes because the state's closing, I thought, was very strong. And the state, they have this PowerPoint presentation, and they have for everything that they're saying, they have citations to the evidence and the testimony that backs up whatever they are saying. And the state opens with the fact that and there was a lot of shade thrown at Corey, understandably, I think. And I'm sure it was difficult for her to listen to it. But when the state got up there and he says, Corey feels aggrieved and thus and is thus an intensely ambitious person. It's like, yes, like that was a great way to say it, that she felt that she deserved, that she was entitled to all of these things. She thought she was this successful business person. And the state goes on to say that she had a father that was an alcoholic that traded parenting for prison, and a mother who was a gambler that traded parenting for a casino. And they go on to talk about how Corey cleaned homes of rich people in Park City, and she was not beneath them, but she felt she was. And pointing out the fact that she felt she was beneath them, I think gets to the state alluding to her narcissistic injury later. And the defense tried to call a mistrial. He called our client a narcissist. A narcissistic injury is different than saying somebody is a narcissist. And she's been called selfish. She's been called, she kind of was scamming people. She's been called all of these things. And for him to say narcissistic injury. So let's talk about what exactly is a narcissistic injury. Okay? So, a narcissistic injury is a profound emotional wound characterized by humiliation, rage, or deep insecurity that occurs when an individual with a fragile, grandiose self image feels criticized, rejected, or defeated. This represents a threat to their perceived superiority, often triggering disproportionate reactions like narcissistic rage, blame, or vengeful behavior rather than normal disappointment. And so it stems from perceived threats to the ego, such as constructive criticism, boundaries, loss of status, rather than just the event itself. And so the cause of narcissistic injury isn't just what was said, it was how they then perceive and interpret this threat. Reactions when an individual so when an individual is injured, they may react with extreme anger or rage. They might be sullen or withdrawn, or they might have counterattacks to protect their fragile self worth. There can be an internal feeling beneath outward rage. They may feel hollow, empty, and exposed. And I wonder if at any point during this closing she felt a little exposed. I don't know. And the impact on the relationship is that people can often feel like they're walking on eggshells. And I felt that was true with Allie. So when Allie was up there testifying, and so Allie, her Corey's beautiful friend, she had the amazing hair. She lives in California. She came dressed for this trial. And but it was Allie that said that Eric was afraid that Corey had tried to poison him. And she, it was a joke. It was a joke. And I'm like, all right, but was it? And Allie was the one that said that, don't eat what Corey gives you. Don't eat what Corey feeds you. And it was just like, ugh. But Allie looked like nervous that she like how Corey felt with what she said to me. And I don't know that for sure. We are just here talking and reacting to this after the fact. The jury came back fast. Okay, so we're not gonna get to the verdict yet. We're gonna stick on closings. I'm not gonna ping around. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick to closings. So, the state goes on to say she had an intense desire to appear privileged, affluent, and successful. Behind the facade, Kouri was incompetent. I was just like, but he's not wrong. There was a financial expert that said she was incompetent. He later attacks her writing as well, but yeah. And she borrowed money by any means necessary. She gambled other people's money and lost. The state did point out the fact that Corey was the one prescribed the I can't say it, quetiapine, yeah. She was his her prescription was in his system, and the state believed that she was pretending to not know what it was when she was on the phone with the ME. The state believes that Corey did not do CPR, and I thought that she unlocked the door pretty fast on the 911 call because she's supposedly like in the bedroom doing CPR. And then she's like, oh no, the door is locked. And then she's like, oh, now the door is unlocked. To me, that seemed fast, but we're just listening in hindsight. The fact that the state pointed out that she called Eric an it, that she said that she could not move it. It was so fast. I was just like, wow, this was I had missed that. When I listened to the call, I missed the fact that she said, I can't move it. And um and that can sometimes go to some emotional detachment or viewing a person as an object and not like your loving husband, the father of your children. She didn't say, I can't move him. He's too heavy. She said, I can't move it. That's what was said. Um, and uh, the state pointed out the fact that Corey asked Josh if he had ever killed anyone, and they of course pointed out her search for if someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the birth certificate as. um, the state pointed out the fact that Corey needed money and the IRS was closing in, and that Eric was maybe going to find out that she had used the money that was given to her to pay taxes to pay other debts. And so the state is trying to say that Corey was getting more and more desperate. That is definitely their theory. They pointed out Corey's affect during trial, and that's when he made that narcissistic injury comment that she didn't respond. Like she wasn't crying like when they're playing the 911 call or any of that testimony, but that she was, he called it exercised, that she was very animated during the financial testimony. That financial expert rode Corey for like she was never gonna catch up. Like that financial expert who knew her math and knew her money, like she was like, this is bad. I've never seen anything like this. Thank you so much for this. Forensic evidence showed she was the one that was looking to buy the pills, and within weeks of that, her husband mysteriously died of a pill overdose. Exactly. Ly. Um, and so yes, because she was prescribed Seroquel, the quetiapine, I think is how you say it. I'm probably saying it wrong. So I've had clients with severe depression, or if they're suspecting possible bipolar disorder, or I've had clients on Seroquel for different things. If somebody's talking about having anger and rage or difficulty sleeping, I've sometimes seen people prescribed medications like that. I'm interested to see what comes out during the pre-sentence investigation. If we hear any of that, we may not, but I'd be interested to hear what comes out with all of that. Yeah, so this was a surprise live. I have a break. I had a break. I recorded a video with Paul this morning, and I will share that video on the channel. I was already hooked up and ready to go, and so I pressed record. I plan on going live again tonight. So I'm on Eastern time at 6 p.m. to talk about the Megan Sundwall case. Today is day 4 of that case, and so I will definitely be covering that case today too. And so with a master's degree, so I don't know where she got her master's degree, Kouri. I don't know if and in Word and Grammarly, it might correct some things. So I don't know how vigorous her master's degree was. I don't know. I don't know. And I make grammatical errors sometimes. So when I attended graduate school, so I was admitted to my doctoral program on a provisional basis because I liked commas. I did not know where commas were supposed to go. We had to do, so for my GRE writing score, I didn't really put a whole bunch of effort into the GRE writing section, so my score was lower. And so to be accepted to graduate school, I had to take a writing course as a part of the program. It was actually very helpful. I moved around a lot as a kid, and I had some gaps in my education with like why certain punctuation goes where. But um, yeah, but Kouri. So the state also pointed out that Josh Grossman, her lover at the time, she broke up with him later, that he was gutted on the stand. And the state said, grown ass man gutted. And I really liked the attorney that did the closing for the state. You could tell he was probably a law nerd. I watched over with Emily D. Baker. I also watched Trial Live TV. So I stream hop to different streams. And I was also watching with Paul because I was in the chat over with Paul too. And this closing was just chef's kiss. So the defense then attempts to do a mistrial because the state pointed out that Chelsea called her a black widow. And so the defense was like, he called her a narcissist. He's alluding to her facial expressions, which is talking about that she didn't testify. And it seemed very desperate. Now, defense attorneys should vigorously support their client. And so they're just doing what their client wants. I think they knew this looked bad for them. This probably wasn't going to go over well. This whole strategy in case, like, oh, they're probably reading the jury's face. They were probably aware that this wasn't looking good. And so they attempted again to go for a mistrial. The judge was like, I loved it when the judge asked the state to respond. And the state was just like, so what should I respond to? Because it was, sir, should I, like, which part of this do I really have to respond to? And uh, so, but the fact that the defense asked for curative instruction on the defendant's facial expressions, to me, and also Emily D. Baker and everybody else, you're drawing attention to her facial expressions. Sir, is that really what you want to do right now? Is that what you want to do? Like right before the state gets up there again, do you really want to make sure the jury is looking at her face? Because she's over there rolling her eyes. Kouri's over there making all of these facial expressions that don't look great. Ma'am, now I think she can't control her, or she chooses not to. I don't know. I don't know how much control she has over her face. She did not attempt to control or manage them. If I'm in a situation where I have to control my facial expressions, I feel like she tried more during the verdict. She actually tried to manage her reaction during the verdict. During closing, she seemed annoyed. She seemed just pissed off. Like it was interesting. It was interesting. When he said narcissistic injury, I was like, ooh, because he didn't call her a narcissist. He said narcissistic injury. Exactly. All right. All right. And so the defense is closing. So the whole defense side seems sick. Okay. So may the NyQuil be strong. I hope they get some rest and some sleep tonight. Kouri looked a little sick too. Like Kouri was blowing her nose too. I think they all got a cold. So the whole defense side looked and sounded kind of sick to me. But that didn't, that it is what it is. Lawyers push through. But the attorney that did the closing for the defense, they tried to tell Kouri's story in a way to bring up a reasonable doubt. And they tried to say that the state is trying to punish without the truth. Like it was just, and that there are other reasonable explanations for Kouri's behavior. Okay, sure. Okay. And Lewis brought up the fact that she was unexpectedly widowed and she walked away from the mic. I think she was trying to connect with the jury at that moment. If you don't follow JD Explains, he is a lawyer. He does he breaks his videos down to be about 20 minutes or less. But he did a video talking about how what happens when a lawyer loses the jury and when a lawyer loses their credibility if they're misstating facts, if they're not and a jury will forgive if somebody accidentally mixes up a date or a name or something like that. But there were times that, to me, the defense was trying to repaint all of this evidence in a way that it's just that's not what it was. So the defense trying to make it sound like Eric was gay and was and was having an affair with Bryce. No. Like the PI, he was one of the funniest witnesses, I think. So my favorite witness of the trial was the financial expert, but the PI, so most people don't want to be subpoenaed to court. He seemed like he was up there like, make my day. Like, really? Are you going to attack my methods? Are you going to try to twist my words to fit your narrative? No, ma'am. I know what you're doing. I do not accept that characterization. That PI was just, wow. And so he was like, that was a joke. So the text message between Eric and Bryce about the open relationship. And that it was a joke. It wasn't real. Eric wasn't having an affair with Bryce. Like it's not true. And the fact that the defense tried to still say that, if I was on the jury, I would be like, "Ma'am, seriously? No. 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 That's not what that was. That wasn't what that was. It was it was a joke." And the defense tried to clear up how they treated Carmen, and I'm glad that they mentioned it, but then they tried to make it sound like Carmen was okay, so I'll just say what she said. So the defense apologized for if anybody felt that they were going hard against Carmen and that Carmen has a learning disability. The defense alleged that she might have had a low IQ and that she might be intellectually disabled. We don't know. She could have a reading learning disorder. She also started using substances in the 6th grade. That's going to affect how the brain works. She likely has her own history of all kinds of things. And so the fact that the defense brought up the fact that, so from the defense's view, they felt the state manipulated Carmen. The state did a great job coming back and being like, "We didn't choose Carmen. Kouri did." Exactly. Exactly. Kouri's the one that chose somebody that might not ask too many questions, that might have something to lose if she ever did come forward, somebody that might have trouble with her memory and with remembering dates and things. Kouri chose that person. The state didn't choose her. Kouri deleted, she got rid of her phone. And the defense tried to explain that, but it wasn't particularly, it didn't hit with me. It didn't land. Um, they also then showed the pictures of the weeping angels to try to explain why Kouri was like this. And like, oh, no, no, she's not trying to hide her reactions. She's actually like, I can't believe this is happening. She's trying to block herself from what's happening. I agree with them that there's no right way to grieve, but there are things that we expect to happen, and there are things that can look suspicious in this situation. There are things that just didn't add up. It did not add up to me that she was not with her children. And the state tried, sorry, the defense tried to be like, "Oh, she didn't want to have that, bad, that conversation with her kids just yet." Okay. The defense tried to clear it up, and I didn't buy it. Uh, okay. And so, um they then tried to talk about, all of the inconsistencies with Carmen's testimony, but then they play up Robbie like, and that, oh, Robbie has nothing to gain. He just told you the truth. Robbie also has an immunity deal. And the state, because he changed his testimony, it would look suspicious if the state took away his immunity deal. If so this the state is like, okay, Robbie, you don't remember if you sold Fent or not. Okay. But you also said that Fent and Blues looked exactly the same at that. So even if you accidentally like so the state wasn't they didn't take away his deal, and it'll be up to a judge to determine how cooperative he was. And so it'll be up to a judge. It won't be up to the state to determine like his level of blah blah blah. They tried to bring up the fact that Carmen hasn't been drug tested in a while, and to me Carmen looked more sober than Robbie. Now I'm not making any allegations, but if we're talking about like who came off more credible, to me, Carmen came off more credible than Robbie, for me personally. Now, does Carmen sometimes, because the one of the detectives talked about that Carmen, she has a high need to preserve her own self-interest. So the reason why they had to come to her so many times is because she didn't want to be tied up in this. She wanted to give them just enough to get a deal, but to not really have anything pointing back at her. So like she has a strong need for self-preservation. And but eventually with showing her the evidence they had, and it wasn't just what she said, there was actual evidence that there's evidence that goes along. There's the cell phone data of her and Robbie going to the mart, meeting there 3 times. There was all of this other evidence too. So, oy, it was so much. And so the the defense tried to talk about they had the nerve to talk about Chelsea's $45,000. After Chelsea, to me, Chelsea's testimony broke my heart. Now the sister's testimony, there was other testimony, but like Chelsea's testimony, oh, because she trusted her friend. And she was aware that her friend, got the $250,000 HELOC. They would kiki together about other people. I don't think she ever thought Kouri would betray her trust. But I don't think Kouri was loyal to a particular person besides Kouri. Kouri only cared about, in my opinion, Kouri only cared about Kouri. And so for the defense to get up there, now they're trying to have the fraud charges, not like they're trying to defend their client. But I wish Kouri had just pled guilty to that one. Like, just going ahead, like, you did that, ma'am, but she wasn't gonna do that. She was there's no way she was gonna plead guilty. Because sometimes, like, that's what Brian Walsh, I believe, tried to do. He tried to admit, "Yes, I did, um, I did get rid of my wife's body, but I didn't harm her. Like, I just found her like that. I wasn't the one that did the thing." He I believe it was Brian Walsh that tried that type of defense. It didn't go over well with him either. But sometimes if somebody admits to one thing, then sometimes you're like, okay, like we'll see where everything else goes. Um like what she did to Chelsea, and then for her team to get up there and be like, that $45,000 wasn't earmarked for closing. Tell that to Chelsea. Chelsea thought that was going to her house. Chelsea didn't know that she was gonna use that for whatever she wanted. No, like it was that made me very mad. Very, very mad. Big mad. Um, and, uh, they also Sky was there. So as we're watching, because I think I was watching with Emily D. Baker, and somebody realized that Sky Lazaro was there. And let me know in the chat, why do y'all think Sky? I think Sky maybe because she worked with Kouri for a long time, and maybe she wanted to see the outcome of the case. But Sky did not talk to the media or anything like that. I'm interested to see if Sky does do any interviews after the fact. I don't know that she will, but Sky was there. Oh, she was sitting on the state side? That's fine. I just because you it was the, O'Driscoll, the the lead person on the case. There was the financial expert was there, and Sky. I was like, "Oh." She was on Surviving the Survivor. Not surprised. Cool. Oh, so I haven't phone calls from prison hasn't been because I had to get away from phone calls from prison for a little bit. That the Wade Wilson, I got too deep in the whole Wade Wilson phone calls, like because it just if it wasn't helping my mental health, and so I had to step away from phone calls from prison for a little bit. I would want to hear Kouri's phone calls. Oh, last night. Okay, I'll have to go back and watch that. Ooh, wow. Okay, I will have to go back and watch surviving the survivor from last night. Wow. Thank you all, chat. You all are amazing. Somebody mentioned that the detective was in court. So I know O'Driscoll was the yeah, so we have all those things. Um and I think it was Emily D. Baker that pointed out that they tried to make it sound like Carmen was lying, and that, oh, Corey's just getting details wrong. Because the state pointed out how her story just changed to try to fit whatever evidence they had, and that she just kept like changing things. But oh, no, no, no. Carmen's lying, but Corey's just getting details wrong. Okay. Okay. They tried. Uh and then they were really strong on if you think maybe likely that that's reasonable doubt. And then she also said, if we as lawyers did anything to offend you, please do not hold that against our client. And it might have been too late for that. Because I think the defense lost the jury at some point. I don't know when, but it seems like um now if they had presented because if Corey's brother had testified. And I think he couldn't testify because that might have made it more difficult for Kouri. I think if the defense had somebody that could help, but if I was on the jury and I see the walk the dog letter, and it's like you're saying that there's this evidence on your brother's phone, I would want to hear from the brother. Now, I would not hold it against the defendant for not doing that, but it would just be like, that's that's weird. I would think, and the defense does not have to put on a defense. The state has to prove their side. But if your brother has information that could exonerate you, and then the fact that in that letter, Corey's like, once I'm paraphrasing here. Once I'm found not guilty, we're gonna go after those bitches. I don't know how that went over with the jury. I don't know. I don't know. So then the state comes back on rebuttal, and the state, mentioned that everything they said was cited. And then they talked about circumstantial evidence. They had the elephant poop picture. Like, what do you think happened? And yeah, we didn't see the elephant. But like we can see the after effect and we can kind of assume what happened. They mentioned that Kouri chose Carmen and that Kouri asked for pills after. It's because Carmen said, please, or that's so the state's theory is that Carmen said, please tell me those weren't for Eric. Hmm. In moments of profound tragedy, you comfort your children. And so the state mentioned that. She doesn't know how to react because she is not grieving. She feels no grief. She was not crying. The deputy said that. Kouri rolled her eyes at that moment. And then the state shows her look of surprise when they mentioned that she that they were going to do an autopsy. So the state has a freeze frame on the body cam footage the night that so it's May 5th. Uh, they have her freeze frame like this when they said that they were going to get an autopsy. And the state's like, that's surprise right there. And I thought that was a good use of that evidence. Um uh and so the state says she thought she was going to get away with it. And then the state says, why would he be buying hydrocodone if he had those pills in the house? Because they want to point to the pill bottle that was already in the house and how it wasn't testified. I'm sorry, how it wasn't tested. Like, why would he be buying pain pills if there were pain pills there? The defense tried to explain away the memes, that the memes were about the house. But I don't idiots everywhere. How is that about that's about your investors? So the defense tried. They really, really tried. I don't think it was particularly helpful. I don't think it was helpful at all. I thought the jury was going to take longer. I will say that again. The state mentioned that she was not a good writer to look at her text messages. Oh, the shade. Oh, oh. Uh, um, and then the state walked through the walk the dog letter, trying to reinterpret it. And the state did not attack Allie's credibility. So the state said that, okay, yeah, there might have been one time that Eric put, the gummies in Kouri's bag. So the state did not attack Allie's credibility because a lot of people in the chat are wondering if Allie got the walk the dog message. I don't know that. So to me, Allie didn't help. She tried. I think Allie said things that made things worse. So when Allie said that don't eat anything Kouri gives you, that Eric thought Kouri might have poisoned him. Those are the parts of her testimony that stand out to me. Can you weigh in on the defense media post while the jury deliberated? Maybe Kouri wanted them to do that because remember we talked about narcissistic injury. So Kouri might have been really upset with the narrative that was out there about her and that the state got the last word. So Kouri might be very concerned with how she's being perceived in the media more. And it reminds me of some other trials where the defendant seemed more concerned about the cameras and what people were saying about the trial than the jurors. So I don't think so the jury couldn't see any of that. I think that was more to control the media narrative. So for there to be something put out there because the state had the last word. She probably wasn't too happy with that. Just my general thoughts. I don't know for sure. I love Emily D. Baker too. I watched her coverage of the verdict, everything. I was going back and forth between Paul reporting live for My Sofa podcast and EDB and Trial Live TV. Yeah, what did the post say? So let me see if I can find it. Kouri Richins defense social. Let's see what it was. Do, 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 do. Ay, do, do, do. Um, I did not see the post. So, Emily D. Baker might have covered it, or y'all can comment in the chat if you know somebody else that covered it. The whole mistrial thing, because I was there. I was there with her when she went code red, and because it was a big nothing burger, they were misstating things. So they were like, wait a minute, the state called her a black widow. It was like, no, Chelsea did. They called her a narcissist. No, he said narcissistic injury. Like it was, and they didn't do it in front of the jury. It seemed desperate to me. I think they wanted to help their client. Kouri probably wanted them to ask for a mistrial anytime they could. Anytime she was big mad, I think she wanted them. EDB did cover, and she does a great job. Uh, uh, doing those things. The jurors. So I think you mean Knox. I think you mean, do we know the ages of the jurors? So there were people in the courtroom that talked about the makeup of the jurors, and I am not. I've heard people talk about it. I don't remember what it was. And the defense during their closing, Lewis was really passionate, but it came across as like yelling and desperate. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Kouri was big mad when they talked about, I think she was more mad about being called a bad writer, a bad financial person. I think she was more upset about that than the bad wife and mom. Um, Welcome to anybody that's joining in a little bit later. So now the verdict. So I got the notification that the jury had a verdict, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And because I was expecting them to take a little bit more time. I watched the verdict. I watched a part of it with Courtroom Confidential too. So Kathy from Gossip Rumor and Innuendo, they were able to react to the verdict live. I was going back and forth. I like to stream hop. ADHD, it helps. So the makeup of the final 8 was 6 men and 2 women, and women are often harder on women, and I wonder if Kouri was kind of okay with that makeup. And, um, but this is also kind of a patriarchal, I don't know how many people were Mormon or any of those things, but some of those topics came up over on Courtroom Confidential. But the jury came back fast, really, really fast. I was so shocked it was so fast. But I think the defense, all their whole thing was reasonable doubt. And all the jury had to do was get back there and be like, let's talk about it. Okay, the first thing. So Kouri was found guilty of all 5 counts. So aggravated redrum, attempted. She was also the fraud, forgery, and like insurance fraud or something. She was found guilty of all 5 counts. But I think if you found her guilty at the top, you were probably going to find her guilty down the line. Not necessarily, but like sometimes that happens. So I was surprised it was so fast. Kouri looked nervous, and I'm sure her team prepared her for like, "Ugh, this came back in." I felt like it was under 3 hours, but it came back really fast. And so when they came back, Kouri looked nervous. The judge did a great job of asking for there to be no reaction. People mentioned that Sky was there to support Kouri. Sure. Um, but I think she was also preparing for going on Surviving the Survivor too. That she was in the courtroom, she was able to see it, hear it. And so I need to go back and watch Surviving the Survivor. Ooh. Juror number 2 asked for the stipulated facts. Yes. Yes. And I saw that over on EDB stream, and I think juror number 2 was on it. We know that the foreman was one of the women, so there were 2 women. So the foreman was, 'cause they're that's the person that said, "Yes, they have reached a unanimous verdict." We don't know which juror it was. But, um Kouri looks shocked. A lot of people are asking about the kids. So after this guilty verdict, she's going to be sentenced, I believe, on Eric's birthday. So it's going to be May, was it 13th? Y'all know me and dates. I want to say May. I put it on my calendar. Yes, May 13th, 9:30 a.m. And that's, well, I don't know. So Utah time. She will be sentenced. I do not know if she will say anything. I don't know. I don't know. She might. I don't know if she'll say anything. I don't know if she'll ask her mother or brother to say anything on her behalf. I the victim impact statements I think are going to be powerful. I think Eric's family are likely going to give victim impact statements. Chelsea could show up because she's one of the fraud victims. So Chelsea could potentially give an impact statement. Um, I would just be interested to see who decides to get up and say something. Some people might also just submit an impact statement and not go up there and read it themselves. And um, if I'm not surprised that her brother stayed far away. uh, I'm not surprised he stayed away. I did see her mom in court, and but with the kids. So it's my understanding, based on what some other people have reported, that Kouri might be having like video visits with them periodically. And but up until now, she was given the benefit of possible innocence. So she had not been convicted. Now that she's been convicted, it'll be up to the new guardians. So those children are likely going to be able to be placed in permanent. So whatever guardian custody arrangement there is right now, that arrangement is temporary because Kouri did not sign over any rights. She likely did not sign over custody. Whatever custody arrangement is in place right now, and it's my understanding that one of Eric's sisters might have the boys. I don't know that for sure. That's none of my business. But there will likely be a permanent guardianship situation because she's going to be in jail for a while. And if the boys want to continue contact with her, and that is where she is their mom. She is the only birth mom those kids will have. And um, they may want to continue some level of relationship with her. It reminds me of Sarah Boone. So I think Brian Boone, I think his son at times might want to have communication with his mother. And that's why I think Brian leaves that door open for there to be, I think weekly or however often, for there to be those video visits every so often. But if at any point his son was like, I don't ever want to talk to her again, his therapist, if everybody's just like, she's not good, she's making his mental health worse, we need to restrict contact. I think Brian is the type of person that would. It will be up to the juvenile and domestic relations court to determine custody. And but custody is going to be with somebody else, but whether she has any visitation. And I do hope that the boys are in therapy. The oldest, I believe, is around 14 years old. And so he's old enough to kind of know. They might also submit victim impact statements, and I hope they do it under seal. So if the boys do any impact statements, um, any letters or anything, unless like somebody else decides to read it for them, um, I hope those are entered under seal. That is very personal. It is very private, and it sounds like Eric was a phenomenal dad. He was there for them. This is a really big loss, and these kids not only lost their dad because of their mother's actions, they also lost their mom too. And their names are out there. The community likely knows what happened, and so, I do just hope that they did that. Okay, so and I could be wrong, y'all know. So, Chelsea might not technically be a victim in this case. The fraud charges are for life insurance only. Okay. Maybe a victim in the financial crimes. So, y'all know, I don't know. Because I know there were 5 charges, and I know there was the insurance fraud and the forgery with Eric and the life insurance fraud. So, so Chelsea, if Chelsea isn't able to give a victim impact statement, whatever happens with the financial case, she would be able to do that there too. My heart breaks for the kids, and there is healing beyond this. So I don't think Kouri thought about anybody else other than Kouri. Those are just my general thoughts. I don't know that for sure. So it's my understanding that there's a financial case as well. And did the Richins sue for wrongful death civilly too? Because the civil bar is lower than criminal. Because like O.J. Simpson was found not guilty at the criminal level, but the civil court found him guilty, and there was financial judgments and all of that. So I'm not for sure. Y'all know we're here to talk about the psychology stuff. Um, Dr. Barry, do you think the Richins would allow supervised visits for Corey's mom if allowed? So that I think that would be up to them, and I think what the boys wanted, and all of that. Uh so that would be up to them. All right. And so once again, very tragic case. My heart goes out to the victims. Even once things are she's sentenced, she's likely going to have appeals. And there will be I don't know. I think the judge made a phenomenal record in this case. And so I don't think um that she will like I don't think that the case will be overturned on appeal. I also think the jury got it right. I saw the lawyer, I saw his coverage of closings. I'm sure he'll put out a video about the verdict sometime today. Um, I am very grateful that the jury saw the evidence. I think the state did a great job putting it all out for them. And so, yes, I thought she was sued for wrongful death, because they let the criminal play out first, because that makes the civil. Because if she's found guilty at the criminal side, I'm pretty sure the civil is guaranteed, because the criminal bar is higher than civil. I don't know that for sure. We're just talking in general. Um, all right. So that will be up to family court. There are some courts that allow grandparents' rights. So I've worked with people that, for a particular reason, we've needed to restrict access to a grandparent for safety reasons, and that all goes through family court. So, all right. I thank you all for watching. Once again, my next case will be talking about the Megan Sundwall case. That is another case out of Utah. They have day 4 today. In between my clients today, I'm going to be catching up on that trial and then doing a summary talking about that case later today. If you know nothing about that case, if you go to my live tab, I have a video talking about that very, very complex case. In general, it is a victim who lied about a lot. Uh, and it's very confusing because there are questions of, did she do something to herself? Did her friend assist her in, so trigger warnings, content warnings for ending her life, or like what really happened, or did the friend like end her life? The friend is, so the defendant on trial in that case, Megan Sundwall. She is a registered nurse. And my issue with this case is that it's my understanding that she arrived at the house at 10 a.m. And um, even if Casey, the victim, gave herself insulin before Megan got there, Megan sat there and watched her die. So for hours, to the point where Megan's family comes over and like prays with her. But Casey's family, as soon as they realize the state she's in, they call the police. And I guess Casey had told her sister that Megan was trying to kill her. Like, this whole case is just complicated. So if you want to check out that case, I have a video going over all of that. And it is so confusing, so much, so much. And so yes. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. We reached over 1,000 concurrent viewers. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Barry. I'm a licensed psychologist. We talk about true crime and psychology here. We call ourselves psych nerds because we like to nerd out about psychology. And I will see you all later today. Be kind, don't do crimes, and I'll see you next time.